So often on the show, I'm doing up rooms that really do need a makeover. But you know, in this case, there's nothing really wrong with the bedroom. The owners just want a fresh new change. I can see they like their little touches of details and layers of luxury, so I want to work with that and make the space just a little more edgy. Now, I love this vintage, so I'll keep that going. Just play that up a little, mixing the old with the new, and adding more depth and layering. Because that's the luxury look everyone's going for these days. First job of the day, painting the ceiling. By painting it a fresh coat of white, it helps to bounce light around the room and opens up the whole space. After all, the ceiling really is the fifth wall of the room. You really can't beat paint for an almost instant makeover in any room, but choosing just the right colour, well, that can be tricky. If you're going for whites, in my opinion, avoid the whites with a yellow undertone if you want a crisp, modern look. The one I'm using here is called Lexicon Quarter Strength. It's actually the whitest white that Dulux make. Looking better already. Good job I had all those pancakes. The most common wash and wear sheen level is actually low sheen. That's what's been popular right up until now. But the new kid on the block is actually matte paint. It's one of my favourites. It dries really soft and velvety, but is actually quite hard to manage generally because you have to scrub it and it really isn't very durable. But with new paint formulas, well, you can have your cake and eat it too. I really love the shape of this bed, but I don't love the factory finish. What I want it to look like is one of those vintage, authentic old bed frames, and I can get that look with paint. You must sand it first and then prime it with a good quality primer. The top coat is a Duramax enamel. It's long lasting and dries really fast. These little bedside tables have such a great shape and they've got really nice character. The only thing wrong with them, I think, is the colour is just not quite right for our fresh, crisp colour scheme. So what I want to do is kind of keep with this look by just going over the top with this chalky paint finish. Just in the vivid white, it'll bring them up beautifully. So to finish them off, they don't actually need very much, just a little bit of sandpaper, not too coarse. I'm just going around these edges and raised bits, even on the handles. This little old blanket box, well, it was found on the side of a road. Well, you can't beat the price, bit of a bargain, and great storage for the bedroom and works perfectly for the foot of the bed. We're going to reupholster the top, and I'm giving the box itself a more edgy look with this metal shimmer paint. Small upholstery jobs like this are really not that tricky, but you want to have a good base to work on. So I've had some foam cut to size. Just go over that with some lining fabric or some calico. Now it's on with the top fabric. This is my beautiful velvet. Just staple that down, and then to hide those edges, I'm just gluing on some gimp, otherwise known as braid. So the last part of this vintage look is to go over the dried black paint with this Gold Effects, which kind of when you dab it on and get to it before it's had time to dry just with a soft rag, you can actually see, looks like an authentic bronze. I'm really happy with that. If you're toying with the idea of a deep colour in the bedroom, but you're afraid to commit all over, why not draw a line around the room like I've done here? I've just masked off a section and I'm painting the whole of the lower part of the bedroom in this beautiful deep grey. And if you're wondering, is grey on trend? Well, yes, you'll see it in all of the magazines this season. This particular colour called Flooded Gum has a really nice warm undertone, a great backdrop for lots of accent colours. Ugly windows, air conditioners, we all have something in a room that we really don't love. Well, there's not a lot you can do about these things, but there is a little decorator's trick you can do to disguise them. So you can add a shelf from wall to wall and fill it with some of your favourite things. That way your eye will be distracted to what you love and not what you don't. So here's a controversial subject. How many pillows do you actually need on a bed? For me, sitting up in an iron bed like this reading would be pretty uncomfortable without Euro pillows, so I like to put a couple of those at the back. So mix up the colours, mix up the textures, that adds the interest. Now for actual sleeping, some people like two. I think two always look better on a bed once it's made. Again, you don't have to go matchy-matchy, mix up the colours, it adds that layer of interest. A couple of scatter pillows in front, well, that picks up the accent colour throughout. And then for the bottom of the bed, you might like to add a throw, or in winter, really cozy it up, one of these gorgeous hides. Most people would assume that white and grey would be a really cold colour scheme, but as you can see here, it's actually rich and so inviting. Now the reason why it works is we've created a really layered look, not only with the colours on the walls, but also with all of these gorgeous textures. We've got elements from nature, always a great way to add warmth to a room, but the accent colour here is brass, which we've carried through the accessories right down to the bed linens. This is a very modern luxe look. We all know first impressions count big time when visitors show up at your front door, right? But once they're inside, if your hallway is looking, let's face it, a little plain and lackluster, I've got 3 very clever, quick ways to transform the space and add a little colour. I want to start with what visitors see first, and that's the front door. I think it's okay to make a strong statement. So I've gone for this beautiful deep dark grey. It's called Night of the Realm. It's part of the new Dulux Colour Trends 2018. On to the hallway for my first look. I want this space to be full of character and nice and warm, but still on the neutral side. I'm choosing the Dulux Essential palette. Now, the good thing about choosing colours within a palette is you know that they're all going to work well together. So for my main feature colour, I'm going for this Dulux Clay Court. Then I'm going to build this soft organic look around it. One of my very favourite paint finishes is actually matte paint. It not only hides imperfections, but it also doesn't reflect the glare from lights and has a slightly more powdery, sophisticated feel. One of the added benefits of wash and wear paints, they are scrubbable. So you can have matte paint and you can scrub it. For the side wall, I'm contrasting with terrace white. And for the back of the door, I'm using an aqua enamel in a brand new sheen level. This one is a low gloss, ideal for interior doors and trims and of course around your windows. There was a hall table in here before, but situated over on the side, that actually made the room still feel long and narrow. So by putting a table at the end of the room, it actually makes the whole hallway feel wider than it really is. This beautiful landscape print draws the eye through and has the same beautiful colour tones as the wall. This look really is all about natural materials and gorgeous textures. And adding living flowers with little pops of blue, well, doesn't this lift the space? A beautiful piece of recycled timber like this works so well in a hallway. Add some hooks underneath, it's pretty and it's very functional too. To make a room more interesting, it never hurts to mix up the textures. A light fitting as fun and simple as this is really fresh, and it just ties in well with beautiful sheers at the window. It's a nice, soft element. I'm really happy with this, and it didn't really take a lot of effort to take this plain Jane hallway and turn it into a warm, inviting space. So let's try another look. How about something like this? A bit more colour, a look that's slightly eclectic. You can take things from the past, op shop finds, even bits and pieces and souvenirs you've gathered from around the world. Now you're probably wondering why I've put the hall table back against this wall again. Well, with a clever paint trick, you can actually make a room feel wider. By painting the same colour across 2 connecting walls, it pushes out the space. And with a third wall, the key feature wall, what I've done here is painted it a cool colour. This one is known as Rusky, both from the Dulux Kinship palette. And for something pretty quirky, a swing in a hallway. You wouldn't use it in the conventional way, but you can still sit on it to do up your shoes. And don't forget the storage. I always like to have a little key box. You can make one like this just from an old suitcase from the op shop. From the minute you walk in the door, this hallway feels calm and wraps around you. Really says a lot about the family who live here. For our third look, let's kick it up a notch. Maybe you're a young, busy family, so why not go bold and bright? This colour is called Bondi. It's part of the Dulux Escapade palette. It's certainly a playful look. Just to add another small design detail, but one that's very important, I'm leaving these little grooves plain white. It gives us that vertical pinstripe and actually makes the room look taller. You can consider the ceiling as the fifth wall in the room. There's absolutely no reason why it should stay white. And this beautiful colour called Soft Fresco looks pretty fantastic on the front door too. And why stop at the walls when paint can jazz up your accessories too? Kids inevitably use a hallway as a bit of a dumping ground, so I say if you can't beat them, join them. As well as a playful colour scheme, remember to incorporate baskets and storage and hooks for bags and coats. How cute, a hallway come bowling alley. A couple of lengths of timber over the paintwork, well, more of a design detail rather than actual paint protection, but I think it looks pretty good. This would be such a fun game for the kids to play on a rainy day. Oh, almost a strike. We've turned it into a pretty fun rumpus room come hallway. So forget thinking about your hallway as being that unwelcoming space that you just skim through when you first arrive. Give it some personality. You can try any of these ideas this weekend.